Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today, I'm checking out something that's been kind of controversial, I think, since it was released. But I'm checking out The Dark Side of the Moon Redux by Roger Waters. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So the hatred for this new Roger Waters release really started as soon as it was announced earlier this year that he was going to do this, release this like new and reimagined version of the great Pink Floyd album, The Dark Side of the Moon, which has long been probably my favorite album of all time. I was really interested to see what Roger was going to do with these songs. He did something similar with Comfortably Numb a year or two back. He re-recorded it for his This Is Not a Drill tour, and it was like this subdued, really kind of interesting way to reimagine that song. I kind of figured he would do something similar with The Dark Side of the Moon. When Roger announced earlier this year that he was doing this album, he was pretty clear about he wasn't trying to replace the original version of The Dark Side of the Moon. It's something that cannot be replaced, cannot be duplicated. All he was trying to do was do this like reimagined, updated version of it to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that great album. And when he released the first single, which was Money, right away, to be completely honest, I mean, it was pretty bad. I was not a fan of that version of it. And when he released Time, which was the second track off of this, it wasn't that bad. I saw what he was doing with it. It was obviously nowhere close to the original track, but the essence of the album, or the essence of the track, was still there. And I like what he did with it. Same way that I liked what he did with Comfortably Numb for the This Is Not a Drill tour. I saw what he was trying to do with the track. And then he released a couple more singles after that, and I didn't listen to them. I listened to those first two tracks and then decided I wanted to hold off, listen to anything else until I could actually sit down and listen to this entire album after it was released. So over the course of the last week, I've streamed it a few times, and I've also got it on vinyl. I listened to it a couple of different times on vinyl. I will say that I think the vinyl version of it sounds better than it does on streaming services. But it's something that it kind of took me a few listens to really kind of get into. The first time I listened to it, it was almost kind of along the same lines as the first time I listened to the updated version of Money. I wasn't a big fan of it. If I was going to rank it from a 1 to 10, I probably would have given it a 2 or a 3. I thought that poorly of it the first time through. And then over the next several times listening to it, I kind of warmed up to some of it. I kind of broke away from some of those preconceived notions I was going to have about this album. I read a bunch of reviews about it so far, and I really shouldn't have, because they were all horrible. All the reviews have been horrible on this one. And I think some of that I let some of that seep in to what I was thinking of it the first time I listened to it. Like I said, I've really warmed up to this album, though. I probably wouldn't give it any more than like a 5 or 5.5. It's nowhere close to being the original. I don't think like I said, it's not supposed to be. Just taking it on its own as an album, I think it's a decent album. It's not as bad as people think it is, and obviously it's nowhere close to the original. But some of the tracks that I really enjoy on here are Time. I thought Time was great. I really love the new version of it. Obviously, like I said, nowhere close to the original. And Us and Them, I think he does a great job with both of those albums, both of those songs. I think the subdued nature to those songs kind of work with those in particular. Like I said, Money, easily the worst track on here. But I think really where he goes wrong on here is specifically 2 tracks. And that is On the Run and Great Gig in the Sky. Those are 2 tracks that don't have vocals to it. And the talking he does over the music, I think really takes away, even though I get what he's trying to do with what he's saying, it just doesn't, I don't think it really fits with the track. And I think it would have been better had he taken that off of there and just let the music speak for itself. Something else I've seen a lot of reviews discuss is the way that Roger Waters sings on this album. So first off, the guy is 80 years old. So I'm not expecting a vocal performance like we would get from a 40-year-old Roger. So, but again, I think it kind of plays into the more subdued tone on this track. I think it reminds me a lot of what Johnny Cash did in his last few years, covering some great tracks, especially like Hurt. The way Johnny's vocals really were almost kind of broken on that version of it. Really kind of played into the overall sound of that track. And I think I kind of have the same opinion with the way that Roger sings on some of these tracks also. So I kind of see where a lot of the reviewers are coming from when they say that this album really lacks the heart and passion of the original release. Because in most instances, it does. I think there is, you can still hear some of it on some of the tracks. Some of the ones I really love, though, I think, Breathe is pretty good. I like what you do with Breathe. Time is a good track. Us and Them is a good track. Any Color You Like is okay. I really like Brain Damage and Eclipse, though, because I think what really helps those two tracks, the last two tracks on the album, is the tracks on the original version are kind of subdued also. So it's a little bit closer, it's similar at least to the original versions of it, that it's not all that different, even though, Roger still does some talking and stuff that I think could be taken out of those tracks that overall would make them a better song. Unfortunately, something like this, an album like this, will always be compared to the original. And, it's something you just can't compare. I mean, it's night and day difference. Dark Side of the Moon, like I said, is, in my opinion, the greatest album ever recorded. So this was never going to be able to match that album. So, looking at it as its own release, I think it's I call it a good companion album to the original album. And obviously, if I had to pick one, I'm always going to pick the original version over this reimagined version. But I think it's good enough. Like I said, it's something that I'm going to listen to again. Like I said, it might be a controversial opinion, but I think this is an okay album. It's nothing great. Obviously, nothing's ever going to compare to the original album. But I think there were some things on here that, had he done a little bit differently, it would have made a better album overall. Like I said, taking off with just taking those two tracks in particular, On the Run and Great Gig in the Sky, and just taking the spoken word parts out of those tracks and just letting the music speak for itself, I think would have made a better flow to the album at least. As far as the physical form of this album, I like the artwork, but I'm not sure where he was trying to go with it. I don't know if this is like a nod to the whole Dark Side of the Moon syncing up with The Wizard of Oz, and this is like Toto on here. If somebody else knows, they can drop me a comment and let me know. But I'm not sure what the whole dog theme is. You get the dog's eye on the front. You get a dog on the back, and then on the printed sleeves, inner sleeves, there's dogs on those also. So, like I said, I'm not sure what Roger was going for with the artwork on here, but I mean, overall, it looks really great. Like I said earlier in the video, if I was to rate this 1 to 10, I mean, I'd go back and forth between a 5 to 5.5. I think I'll just settle on a 5.5, though. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. It's just there for me. And like I said, it's something that I think has enough good stuff on here that I will listen to it again. I'll probably, at least when I'm streaming it, I'll skip over a few tracks. But I think there's enough there on a couple of those tracks that make this something that I'm going to play over and over again. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below, because I would love to know what you guys think of this release. I know it's getting a lot of hate out there. I guess let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.